In the Quran, a lot of times, you see Allah speak of himself in the plural. He says, we and our and us a lot. Why is that?
Well, that's really known fact as a royal we. It's when somebody is signifying his might.
So you're right. You're saying it's more mighty to appear as a plurality. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, you can just say that.
Allah, in order to appear more mighty than he really is, he refers to him in the plural to signify his mightiness, because it's more mighty to be plural rather than singular.
It's just a literal device to,
to signify his majesty, right?
Yes.
So it's more majestic to be plural rather than singular. In Islam, when it comes to Tawheed, your God has to pretend to be more majestic than he is.
Not pretend, no, this is wrong.
I'm just being a little blunt. But he has to act or appear as more majestic than he is, while the triune God just is. He's in his own nature, he's plural. There doesn't have to be a royal we. It doesn't have to do something to signify his majesty because he already is plural.
The royal we does not indicate plurality in essence. The use of we in the Quran is a well-known linguistic feature called a royal plural or majestic plural. This is common in many languages including Arabic, Hebrew, English, and even classical Greek and Latin. It does not imply numerical plurality but rather grandeur, authority, and power. For example, in English a king might say, "We decree that this law shall stand." Even though the king is just one person, he speaks in plural to show authority. Similarly, in the Quran, Allah says "we" in context of power, command, or decree, but says "I" in context of personal closeness. Here are some examples. Indeed, we sent down the Quran. Singular, indeed, I am Allah. There's no deity except me, so worship me. This variation in pronouns has nothing to do with numerical plurality, but instead reflects the different aspects of Allah's majesty. This argument misrepresents majesty. He argues that if Allah refers to himself in the plural for majesty, then plurality must be more majestic than singularity. This is a fallacy, because using a plural form does not mean actual plurality exists. It simply emphasizes grandeur. For example, in English, a king can say, "We command," but he's still one person. A CEO can say, "We have decided," when he's referring to himself. This is not because plurality is inherently more majestic, but because it's a linguistic convention. Allah's use of "we" is a way of expressing majesty in human language, not a reflection of his actual essence. The Trinity argument is a category error. Avery says your God has to act or appear more majestic than he really is, but the triune God just is majestic because he is plural by nature. This confuses linguistic style with theological reality. Allah's oneness is absolute, and he uses the royal we for linguistic emphasis, not because he lacks majesty. Meanwhile, Trinitarians believe in three distinct persons, who are each fully God. This means their plurality is an actual numerical division of persons, not just a linguistic convention. But this leads to a problem. If plurality is inherently more majestic, why stop at 3? Why not 4, 5, or infinite persons? This is why Islamic Tawheed is superior. It does not rely on arbitrary plurality to establish majesty. The irony here is that the Bible itself uses the royal we when referring to kings and rulers. Ezra 4:18. The letter you sent to us has been read and translated in our presence. The king says us, but he is one person. Daniel 2:36. This is the dream. Now we will tell the interpretation before the king. Daniel is one person, but he says we. So if the apologist's argument were valid, then the Bible would also have a problem because kings, prophets, and rulers use the same majestic plural. The Quran explicitly rejects any plurality in God's essence. Even if someone misunderstood the royal we, the Quran makes it crystal clear that Allah is absolutely one and not a plurality. These verses explicitly reject the idea that Allah's we implies plurality. If the Quran meant to support a plural God, these verses wouldn't exist.